And one. Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Command Your Confidence. Today, I'm joined by Mr. 1950. How you doing, buddy?
I'm wonderful, man. I appreciate the invite, man. I like what you're doing here, man. So I'm happy to be a part of it. Appreciate it.
Well, rock on, man. Yeah, and I'm familiar with who you are, and I know Mr. Lucario, and I know Steve the Dean,
The,
and
the guys.
I watch a lot of
Yeah.
your content, and I think a lot of what you guys have to say about when it comes to women is truth compared to like all the other stuff that's out there. Because I do believe it's all like a mindset thing, and how you
Mhm.
perceive yourself and everything. And I think a lot of people kind of fail to realize that, and therefore they have this victim mentality. They blame other people, they blame the real
Yeah.
world instead of looking into themselves. And I've been watching Lucario, because probably like 5 years ago, and when I first uh picked up and started listening to his content, it really started to resonate with me, because my dad growing up, my dad always you know turned me on to a lot of motivational videos and everything, and motivational tapes, and that's been an inspiration for me. And like when the Kari was talking stuff about how you're when it comes to women, everything's about your mindset and everything, how you perceive yourself. I'm like,
Mhm.
well, shit, that really resonated with me.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, a lot of men, don't understand the power within, and because they've been taught to give everything, they don't know how to receive.
Mm-hmm.
Men are taught, not to deal with conflict. We're taught to avoid. We're taught to ignore. I mean, all those things are like women traits, man. We're really supposed to be in charge. We're supposed to take over. We're supposed to dominate. We're supposed to have a plan. We're supposed to have structure. I mean, there's so many different avenues in order for us to function on a day to day basis. But unfortunately, a lot of men have been indoctrinated with simphood, simp lifestyle. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and because of that, I mean, that's why you see women out of control, chaotic, and then you see a lot more men mirroring the women. So
Mm-hmm. Right. And where do you think that like began and everything? Is this something that is this new, where a lot of men were kind of having like indoctrinated like that, when they're
mhm,
losing their masculine traits or whatever you want to call them?
mm. I think a lot of that happened when they knew that women would be able to be marketed to a lot stronger if they were without a man. Women spend more without being in a relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Women spend a lot of money in it, and it's almost a money thing, but also as a family thing. You
Mm-hmm.
got to remember, tradition comes from what? It comes from religious background, Bible. More of a success-driven resume for tradition. So they know, with families, with men leading, women following. I think a lot of they knew that you will have less pushback if they were individuals against whatever indoctrination the powers that be may want. They know with a strong man, you in a strong family, you're gonna have more. You're gonna have more pushback of what their agenda is than less. When you're individuals, you're more likely to agree. But when you're a team and you got a family, you're more likely to push back on things that's not okay for you and your family. You know what I mean? So I think it started. I would say if I had to predict about a time, it'd be in the '60s, early '70s. I think
Mm-hmm.
they kind of understood that the way to control the masses is to feminize the strong men.
Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of because of that, that's kind of where we are today. That's why you see most guys are like more of like followers and everything, and afraid to even speak their truth when they have been to desire a woman and everything, because of that indoctrination and everything. And do you think
Correct.
too a lot of that could be not just the indoctrination, but like we were talking earlier about like mindset and everything?
Mhm. Well, you got to remember the mindset for oneself was understanding the mindset of a man is supposed to be what's giving transferable information from the father. And that
Mm-hmm.
information is supposed to be from the grandfather. But what happened is a lot of fathers have fell on some hard times in life, made some difficult decisions. So a lot of these young men, they got to get the mindset from family and friends and mostly women, right? So when you
Mm-hmm.
got women indoctrinating men in regards of manhood, what women do is they instill gentlemanhood into a man. And what happens is that they they try to make their sons the perfect husbands that they wanted. And we
Mm-hmm.
all know if a woman had to pick a perfect husband, it wouldn't mirror the man that they should have. It'll mirror the man that they want. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I think the mindset starts there.
Right, exactly. I don't know. And see, one of the things I think I struggle with, like growing up too, is like, my parents got divorced, so like, I was raised by a single mom and everything, and
Mm-hmm.
I'd still see my dad, but I wouldn't see my dad. It would be like every other week and everything. So I didn't really have my dad around all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And and you're right though, like I was I think like kind of my mother kind of instilled told me like some of those doctrines, like, well, you got to be like this way and everything. But even my dad would say that too. Like I remember when I don't I was work do you know who David X is?
No.
Okay, well he's like he was like one of my old mentors in the past. He was more of like a direct guy and everything. And I remember when I was working with him, he had mentioned me to like kind of just be direct with your intentions and just
Mm-hmm.
like learn to be yourself, and you don't have to like hide who you are when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to in front of women. And when I had told that to my dad's like, no girls, you're not gonna like that. You got to act this particular way. You got to make this amount of money.
Yeah.
No girl's not going to want to be with you if you don't make this amount of money or if you don't have a degree. And so that I think just having I can see where the indoctrination comes in, because I actually believe that for a while, and
Of course.
I go out on dates sometimes, and I would be like, I would never swear on a date, or I'd be someone who I wasn't. And
Mm-hmm.
of course, I realized that got me nowhere. But when I learned to be more authentic and
Mm-hmm.
kind of be comfortable with who I am, I saw that women were more attracted to me rather
Yep.
than just not talking to me anymore or just like friend zoning me.
Yeah. I mean, again, a woman is going to be attracted to who you really are because most men are not confident.
Mm-hmm.
And because they're not confident, um, men that are confident normally get most of the women,
Mm-hmm.
and so they know you're confident by you're comfortable in your own skin, like you said. Like when you stop being something you're not, they know. Women have a real meter. They see the BS. They have a real good BS meter. They have to for their own protection,
Right,
right?
exactly.
So they know when they can see a woman, when they see a man who's into himself and he knows himself, that's attractive to her. So
Mm,
of course you're gonna draw more women when you're yourself. So that's why it's hard for me to, view a lot of these red pill guys. I mean, it's woman nature and all that. I mean, it's very disturbing because what we're doing is setting up these youngsters to be living in
mhm.
fear of everything a woman does in life, but we're the one who controls women. So I never understood why are we continuously telling men, oh, don't get married, don't do that. I mean,
Right,
I believe in making sure we are definitely married men.
right. No, and it's funny you mentioned, because like, when I say like, so I've been really pushing my development in this area for the past 6 years of my life, just really, finding some solid mentoring and everything.
Hmm.
And I did, one of I did stumble upon the red pill stuff at one point, and I did it took me some time to realize this, but a lot of the stuff that it was kind of teaching guys was kind of to blame women for all the problems, and they said you got to be this way, you got to make X amount of money, then you'll get girls, and that kind of like threw me off a bit, because like, okay, so I'm gonna be like, think to myself, okay, well, this girl won't be interested in me because I don't make money, or I got to do this. And so I learned to have that awareness of that, and I realized I had to kind of move away from that particular type of thinking and
Mhm.
stuff. And like, and I, one thing, I mean, did get, my, the experience was, but but at least I was able to get out there, and like I realized, when it comes down to anything, I mean, but I mean, it's good to learn from any type of thing, but you eventually want to be more authentic and more comfortable with who you are, like I was just
Mhm.
talking about not too long ago. And I, because I also, like, did some of a long time ago, back in 2007, my first journey into learning how to get good with women was, the mystery method,
Mhm.
and then Neil Strauss. I know you guys
Mhm.
talk about that on your Real Game No Theory. You kind of,
Mhm.
make fun of all that stuff, but
All day long.
that was my introduction
Mhm.
into, like, trying to get good with women, because like I really didn't know how to start an interaction. But then I realized, yeah, when I was doing some of that stuff, after like the routines ran out, I just like didn't know how to continue the interaction. And it's just like with anything, it's like a journey. And like I realized the keys to success is like your mindset, and like I said, being comfortable with who you are, and really not, giving a damn if someone's going to like you or not. And I think that's, a lot
Mhm.
of people have a hard time dealing with that, because everyone wants to be accepted.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't think that's a natural thing of wanting to be accepted. I think the best men in the world understand that they can probably be in their life alone, just because of how indoctrinated we are in ourself,
Mm-hmm.
and understanding the value in self sometimes won't allow you to have friends or won't allow you to have a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Those things come eventually, but sometimes they don't, based upon what you believe in and how you believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Just knowing is I truly I stopped caring. I think I may have been about 17 when I stopped caring about how people envision me. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
maybe even younger than that. I just know that's probably one of the worst things you can allow in your life is to live your life through other people's lenses. Believing that you need validation from others in order to be a person of standard, a person who people enjoy to be around.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. Like I'm my own person. I carve my own way, and even with the fellas that when we rock on Sundays, like we're all different, and we move different. We all this stuff, all this stuff that I'm saying now. Um, Everybody on the show will probably speak a little different about it. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? So it's amazing to me that that this is something that most men just can't get. They just don't understand, and they don't.
Why do you
They
think
can't
that
grasp.
is, though? Like, why do you think keeps them from understanding?
Well, a lot of them is lazy. A lot of men don't want to change. They don't want to accept the fact that it's not a woman's fault. It's easy to blame, right? It's easy to blame. It's
Mm-hmm.
easy to point fingers at. I mean, we all know that. I mean,
Right.
accountability is the hardest thing to do for weak men. Women don't take accountability because they need to be told what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so if they're built to be led, then why would they take accountability? Because everything you tell them is based upon you. So we're expecting women to take accountability, but they're not even made to have to take accountability, but men don't because they're lazy and they hate feeling like they need to take accountability. They want to point fingers. It's a lot easier.
Mm-hmm. Right, because if they go and point fingers and everything, not to have to, take accountability, then just, it makes it simple for them. They don't have to take any action and stuff. They just figure, okay,
Mhm.
well, I'll just blame this because of that. Why try?
Exactly. Exactly.
And I think that,
Mhm.
and you gotta, like, I think, like, it's important to kind of like take accountability for your actions, and to kind
Mhm.
of not hold other people responsible. I mean, because in the end, like, you're the creator of your own life. You are responsible for, like, choosing where you're at, where you are, and how, the actions that you're going to take. But you also have that choice not to do anything. And I think it's
Mhm.
all about, like, your choices that you make that will determine your success.
I really like how you put that. Exactly. I don't know how many other words we could put it in. That was a great way of putting it, because at the end of the day, it's really about your choice and what you want. But a lot of people don't believe their choice is their choice. They believe other people dictates their choices, and that's why they want to point fingers. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Right, exactly. Again, because it's like, it's super easy to like blame other people, and and
Most
that's
definitely.
and that's sad though. I mean, because then again, they're complaining about, they want to have success, but then like on the other hand, they're the ones who are blindsided where they can't actually, because they're pointing the fingers at other people and being lazy. It's really them themselves rather than, but then they have the choice to change that. And I and on my channel, I do like to talk a lot about like dating stuff. I also like to throw in the mindfulness and the whole self development thing, because like I believe it's important for people to be aware that if they want to have not just success with women, but with if they want to start a business or do anything else. I mean, because if they just go around and point fingers all the time, then they're not going to make shit happen in their lives.
Ever. And it doesn't matter what it is. You got to remember, those who complain are weak.
Hmm.
Solution oriented men are the strongest men, because they're the one moving the needle, right?
Hmm.
They're the one who is causing the problem to be solved, and that's really hard. I mean, when you become a problem solver in life, I mean, in general, man, you're doing a lot, and I think men who don't understand that are going to have hard lives, man. I tell you,
Hmm.
man, like if you don't understand that you control your own narrative in life, that you are the creator of self, man, it's going to be a long, long, long life. You know what I
Right.
mean?
No, that's true. And I'm glad I had that realization at one point in my life. I mean, because like you don't have to let the external factors define who you are. I mean, as long as you believe in yourself and you believe in yourself enough to actually go out there and take the action, you're going to make it happen. It may take time. It may not happen right away. I mean, you're going to go out there, you're going to take the action, you're going to fall on your ass and everything, and you're going to fail, but you just got to be able to push forward. If you really want it, you'll go through all the trials and tribulations. And I think most people, guys, just don't want to go through all that.
Yeah, I mean, of course they're not. I mean, they're not trained. Like, again, the new the way men are being looked upon now, um, is in a subservient role, in a non, like, most good men know that you need to be selfish. You need to have principle standards, and you need to be selfish in what you want out of life. But you're
Hmm.
not taught that anymore. The transferable information from grandfather and the ancestors have moved away. So now the indoctrination comes from what? It comes from everything that's around you. So the men that you're witnessing and seeing are probably the men that are the men who are the ones destroying the ecosystem when it comes to, you know, uh, uh, you know, carrying family on, carrying legacy, all those things. So man, we're in rough times when it comes to masculinity, and rough times when it comes to decision making for men.
Hmm. I know. So how do we deal with that?
Well, we deal with it by continuously promoting, strong men, understanding where we're at in life as men. It's all
Hmm.
right to understand that you're not the strongest man. Okay, so if you're not the strongest man, let's how can we help that? How can we fix that? Well, you gotta get some mentors. You gotta get somebody close to you that that's living the life that you feel like that can help you.
Hmm.
Coaching is a big part of change. Just
Right.
just like therapy
Exactly.
for certain people, it's the same way.
Right. No, that's true. I mean, that's why I did it, because I mean, I just really wanted to take things up to the next level. I just really got tired of like, just kind of, I don't know, I was social, but I mean, I still didn't really, um, you know, believe in myself, and I was still afraid to be authentic and stuff. And I really wanted to just meet more women out in public rather than on the dating apps, so I can have that choice to at least put my best self forward. And so I just got really tired one day. I remember I Googled like a confidence coach,
Mhm.
and I met this one guy up. He was in Vancouver, and I still do coaching here and now and then with him. And he's a really good guy, but he really, you know, pushed me, got me to the next level as far as being social and putting myself in uncomfortable situations, which really kind of helped me. Like one of the exercises that he had me do, I had to go into a Victoria's Secret and talk to two women. Like
Mm.
that was the hardest one because it was like an awkward thing. My mind was saying, "Well, that's stupid," But it's weird when I did it though. Like I challenged my negative belief about that, and so it really
Mhm.
wasn't that bad as my mind was interpreting it to be. And there from that lesson, I kind of got, well, I mean, if this isn't bad, I mean, what else am I, thinking
How'd it
about
how'd
negatively
it
that's
go?
not bad at all?
How'd it go, man?
Oh, it was good, man. Like, no, it went really good. Like, I mean, I just thought it was going to be weird to approach a girl in a Victoria's Secret because I wouldn't know how to do it. But I just kind of, it took me a while, but I finally did it, and yeah, it was fine. And I've done it, a couple times. Originally, too, you wanted me to go into a makeup store, like a makeup place, and I'm like, oh, no, I don't know if I could do that. But I understood the reason why. It's just because he was trying to put me out of my element and trying to do somewhere different, a place where I knew would be like awkward and weird to go into. And like I said, it really wasn't that bad. I remember one time, this is probably back before I moved out here. Yeah, I worked with, there's this one local guy in the Detroit area who I found. It ended up being like a total scam too. Like I remember we went into a mall, and he's like, when there was a girl, like there was a lingerie, there was this girl in the lingerie shop, and she was holding a lingerie, and he's like, go up to that girl and say, that looks good on you. That might look good on like my sister. I'm not gonna say something that's stupid, like, because that's weird, because to me it's not natural. Where as the other scenario, like it's just having normal conversation. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? Not like using a funny line, like one line opener to get the girl to laugh.
Yeah, I mean, it comes with confidence in self too. Talking to women is the easiest thing in the world. I mean, no matter where they're at. I mean, women are easy.
Hmm.
What's hard is understanding who you are, and I
Hmm.
think that's a continuous development of self. And once you get that, though, and the more and more you do that, you get more confident. Women then become like nothing, and I don't mean it like they're nothing. I mean what I mean by men that hold women to value are normally men who struggle with women.
Hmm.
Um, women have value, but the value they have is given by you.
Hmm.
So once you understand who you are as a man, then you move different in life. Like life is a lot more different through the lens of you than the lens of others. Meaning how people view you, how you are supposed to be with women. If you are living that in any way, you're not really being authentic. You're not really being yourself. And that's why a
Hmm.
lot of men fail. You know what I mean? They fail
Right.
because they don't know self.
Well, right. It's funny because one of the things and this is totally weird, but like I just remember just like when I was first trying to get good with women, like that was the one thing I'm like, yeah, I got that was the number one thing on my mind and everything. And it's weird, like, as I started to see more success, I started to realize it was like draining sometimes because, like, in me being a busy person, like it was taking out a lot of time out of my day. And so it was weird because after a while, like I learned to like have other things in life too that I was focusing on. And it really kind of made me realize, well, hey, when I was building stuff for myself, that became more important than just trying to like go on a bunch of dates with women. So
Mhm.
it made it easier to kind of deal with flakiness. I wouldn't get so frustrated with that, or or if like And sometimes like I just have to cut my conversation short over the phone just because I value my time and what I'm working on. And that's
Exactly.
a lot, I realized I was taking a lot of, of my time, but I learned I'll give my time to the women who I felt like were, put in the effort to want to like hang out and showed like high interest and stuff. That I give them, those were the type of women I give more time to, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, most definitely. Your time is what they want. They don't want anything else. If they love who you are, if they really vibe with you, your time is everything to them. So when you take that away, it's a lot for them. And see, this is why for me, I always tell men make sure you know what you want from a woman before you pursue women. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you got to have a plan for them. If you don't have a plan, then they're going to waste your time. They're masters at wasting time
Mm-hmm.
because they want your time, and that's what they want. So just know what you want, know how to get it, know how to put it together, and live the best life you can live, man. Like when we talked before the show, like the best thing you can do is live the life that you want to live, man. That's all we have. We only have one of these.
Mm-hmm.
And spending your time wasting it on somebody else, that's not it.
Mm-hmm. Right. But there are some guys there who will actually give up. I noticed I had some friends that like once they find someone, they give all their time to the woman, and then you don't hear from them unless the relationship goes bad or they get a divorce.
Mhm. Most
Yeah,
definitely.
and I've known
It's
some.
nothing wrong with a divorce either, man.
Right.
Nothing wrong with it. If she ain't acting right, or if
Right.
he's not meeting the standards.
Oh yeah, no, oh, no, there's no, not but I'm just saying, like sometimes like there's this, you have this guy friend. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. But I'm just saying, like sometimes you know how it is. You have those guys who, when they meet someone, if you ever have a friend with they were in a relationship, you never hear from them again unless they're single again.
Yeah,
That's what I was
them's the
kind of
suckers.
referring to.
Most of those are suckers, man. If you can't be yourself based upon who the person who's with you, what you're saying is that you can't you can't allow someone else to come in your life because your sole focus is on the person you're with, and that's wild to me. That's
Hmm.
wild. I mean, we're human beings. I wouldn't even want a woman to be into me like that. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I want her to be having some friends and do things with.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, and I honestly, I have lost some good, women because of that, because they just wanted more of my time, and I just couldn't give it to them, and it was a bummer because I mean, I especially had this one girl that I was with for over a year and stuff. It was really nice, supported me in everything I did and everything, and she just got frustrated that couldn't spend like 3 or 4 days with her during the week, and she knew everything that was going on, and that was kind of difficult dealing with that. But but I also have met women who I talk with or match with on an app, and they get all frustrated because I can't go out the night of that they met me. It's like I got a life here.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, and I'm like I said, man, I'm glad you made that decision for self, right? You made that
Hmm.
decision based upon what you valued, which was your time, and I think more men need to do that. I think more men need to be more assertive in the beginning too, and let these women know, like, hey, this is what it is. You're gonna be part of my life. This is what I got to give.
Right, exactly. And and that's where especially right off the back, like I'd rather be more direct with a girl about what I want, because I got, I have some girls who just want to approach for like a relationship, and I'm like, well, that's something that could happen, but starting out though, I just want to kind of be in the moment. I'm busy, I got a lot going on. I want to just do something casual, and if something more develops from that, then I would be open for that. Because I just, like I said, I realized, I thought at one, after that situation with that last girl, I was thinking, well, maybe I can, do the relationship thing. But then when I thought
Mhm.
about, like, I'm like, right now where I'm at in my life, I'm doing so much. It's just like that's not going to work. And like it could work, but it's got to be with the right person who understands, where I'm going, where I'm at in my life and everything. And it's just, I notice like when I go out with some girls, they want to put a time frame on like stuff, and I just can't put any. I can't do a time frame. It's got to happen naturally.
Mhm. you got to understand too. A lot of things don't happen naturally for women.
Uh,
They're indoctrinated too, right? So you gotta make sure your plan is tight, and you got to make sure you are executing in a way for them to understand what their role is and how it's going to play in your life. Otherwise, it's going to be chaotic. You know what I mean?
mhm. Right.
So yeah.
Exactly. Well, I mean, so sometimes, I mean, but that's just, that's why it's good to kind of know like where you're at and let them know where you're at, because like you said, that's going to save you a lot of time. It's going to save them time too. And plus, like, it will be chaotic, like you were saying.
Yeah.
But most people have a
Chaos.
hard, but I think some people have a hard time, communicating that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's,
Mhm. Well, of course they got a hard time because, like I said, man, men are indoctrinated to avoid. Men are indoctrinated to not have conflict with women. They believe being assertive and telling a women what they need to do is a problem. Women are attracted to that.
hmm
Women are attracted to strong men. Women are attracted to all of that. You know what I mean? So I
hmm
don't understand. I never understood that part. And yeah, man, I continue to preach. I continue to say my piece, and hopefully, men learn from what I say. Um, I think it's very important for the strong men to speak out. So I try to speak out as
hmm
much as possible, man.
Well, no, I mean, not just when it comes to women, but you have to be assertive to go after what it is you want in life too. You can't be passive and that kind of hope that things fall your way. You got to be the one to make them happen. And so you think a lot of guys, because they struggle with that in that area with women, as far as being assertive, they kind of are not assertive in other areas of their lives, or just with women.
Well, no, normally they're just soft all the way around, man. They don't want to deal with situations at work, or they got friends using them to do stuff, and they got neighbors is doing disrespectful stuff, or all of that comes together. It just doesn't normally affect just one part of your life. It's pretty rare that it affects just one part of your life. It normally affects everything. And this is
Mhm.
why a lot of men, um, they gang up and call themselves red pill guys, because a lot of times in those communities, it's a parade of people who are weak, and they can high five each other and talk about women and talk about men. The top 10% of men is getting all the women. It's a bunch of crap.
Mhm.
So you know, indoctrination is killing us right now, and I'm,
Right.
I'm
No, I
glad we're
hear
having
you.
a discussion. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and so that can be, getting so the topic. So that, I mean, that, and that's probably, indoctrination is probably would be one of the reasons why, like, the main, if you had to pick maybe like the nut, like everything we talked about so far is like the main reason why, men are having a hard time talking to being good with women and being confident.
Most definitely. And like I said, there's ways to help those men. As men just got to reach out for help, and then
Mhm.
they also too, you got to kind of watch what you're, as a man, what you're intaking. What are you intaking? What are you doing? A
Mhm.
lot of these men, man, they just go instinctively.
Mhm. Right. No, and I definitely think it's, you got to go. You have to have that awareness and stuff, because I mean, stuff that you're kind of soaking in could affect your way of thinking and everything. And
Hmm.
that, I think that's what kind of like, yeah, same, like I remember, I used to get, I believe that, like, when I was watching like movies and stuff, I believe that's how like romance had to be. I did the
Yeah,
flowers. I
music,
did that. I know
music.
it's funny. I did that,
Hmm.
and but I mean, I was led to believe that, but I'm glad, through it took my experience and awareness just to realize, well, that's not how things really work.
Yeah, and music is another one. And if you listen to most R&B music, or it's any music where they talk about a woman, it's always love and how. I mean, it's normally pandering most of the time. But I mean, I'm a
hmm
music guy, so I like a lot of it out, but I can see through it. A lot of men can't. They believe that's what it is, like you said.
hmm Right. No, no, you're right though. Yeah, listening now that I'm thinking about it, I can, kind of think. of like some songs. So yeah, it's songs that would kind of like pander to women. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just interesting how that is. It's weird when you have that awareness and you're like, wow.
Yeah, of course. You got to have the awareness, and you got to be able to see them through the BS, just like women. You got to be able to, again, you got to be able to have your own principles, standards, laws. You got to have some integrity, a high moral compass. All these things help you as men to stay away from things that are not going to be good for you. You know what I mean?
Right. So when when you guys, I listen to your guys' show all the time, you all talk about authenticity and having your own standards. So once, like, in knowing yourself, that's importantly. So like, just getting to know who you are outside of the external, and just learning to understand what your wants and needs are. That's going to kind of help break the spell, because you're going to totally break out of that cycle of what you were indoctrinated into. Correct?
Yeah, correct. I mean, like I said, the answer to everything is self. Once you figure out what that is, but then you also have to understand too, if you have some things about self that ain't cool, you got to fix that, man.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be able to see it. I used to call it, I don't want to use language on your show, but there's a saying that when you can understand what's inside of you, you got to get it out of you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And you have to be able to recognize what that is inside of you in order to get it out of you. So you have to do some self reflection, self evaluating on exactly what type of man you want to be, and wonder why you're not there. Okay, so maybe I need to change this. Maybe I need to change that. But I don't. I always tell men, don't ever use money as a compass. Money is not a compass for you being a man. It has zero to do with you being a man.
Right. No, that and it's funny you said that, because that's the one thing, when the guys say like the reason why they can't have a woman or anything, they always think it's or a relationship or get married. I've heard friends of mine say, well, I just I don't not my money's not there yet, and that really has nothing to do with it. Like, I mean, I make good money, but I'm not like a super millionaire, and yet I still am able to go out there and meet women and stuff. I had this the funny thing was, I remember about a year ago, there's this one guy in my group. I've mentioned this a couple times. I just thought it was so hilarious how you brought this up. He was like, "Hey Rob, how do I get girls with my money?" Wow. That's what I just like. I wanted to say, just go to a whorehouse, But I just thought it was the most awkward question. Like, and that you could tell, and I know, and the guy's a pretty cool guy, but I know, like, personality wise and confidence wise, I know he's not like 100% there, because I can just tell based on his body language and the way he is around other people.
Yeah, I mean, that's when that self-reflection comes in, right? But
Mm-hmm.
you can't change what you do not acknowledge. So if you do not acknowledge what the problem is, you would never change it.
Right, exactly. And that's how I, learned to kind of like deal with stuff. I mean, like, I've had a lot of successes, and sometimes, I kind of see myself, I fall back a bit, but it's that awareness of the mind, the way you're thinking about yourself, and the way you're thinking about certain situations. Because I think again, you get sometimes, like, I have realized on my journey, like, I always have to wake up every morning to be grateful for what it is I've accomplished in my life, to remind me of everything, and it helps. But sometimes I forget all my successes when things aren't going my way, if I'm, something wrong is going on in my life, and that throws me back a bit, and that can put me in a funk for a bit. But it takes, again, I have that awareness for saying, well, hey man, you are capable of doing this. You've done this before. This is how you need to act. This is what you need to do.
And I think it's very important. Like I said, man, I think all of us need some type of mentor somewhere in our lives, right? I mean, we're just not born like this. Like, you're born,
Right.
you get a collective, you get a collective of men that are very strong, that are very good at communication, and you eat the meat and spit out the bones, man. You kind of still want to guide yourself onto what you want in life. You know what I mean? You don't have to exactly listen to the way he did it, do it in the way you know how to do it. But I'm sure there's some type of directions in how they are teaching it. So you got to make sure you listen appropriate. You got to make sure you keep your game tight. That's what we say. But
Right.
keeping your game tight comes from you being disciplined, you understanding the goals, you being structured in your life, even when nobody else is around. Very important.
Mm-hmm. Right, exactly. You see, one of the things like I've always, from learned from the mentors and stuff that they've taught me a lot, but like I used to kind of do it the way they taught me to do it, but over a period of time, I've learned how to adjust it to my standards and everything to the point where it's more authentic and everything's more realistic. And I've realized once I'm able to adjust that into my, make it more authentic, that's what I'm kicking ass. But no,
Mm-hmm.
The mentorship is, I think has always been important because like, yeah, you can lead yourself, but sometimes you're going to fall off. And when you have that mentor there, you can, tell them, well, hey, this is what caused me to fall off and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What I need to do to get out of this and everything. No, it's really cool. I have a business mentor that I work with, but he also does he's a good mindfulness coach and everything. Because he's like, the success of your business is going to determine your mindset and the way you perceive things. So we always make sure to cover that. And I've learned a lot about like when I talked to him about certain situations where I was trying to make a sale, because I have a web design and digital marketing business that I do outside of my job and everything. And so, so when I talked to him about like certain situations as to why I didn't get a sale, like he's like, well, what was your mindset at the time and what could have you done differently? Because after I explained the story to him, and he says, see, and the reason why you probably didn't want to say it is because you were judging the situation and what that person was going to think. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's probably right. And that's the same thing, that's the one thing I always brought into certain situations with women is, I make judgment of that person, or judge myself, I'd be like, okay, well, I'm not cool enough to talk to this girl, or that girl looks like she's going to be a bitch, But really, see, when you challenge and this is why I always like to, tell people to challenge like their beliefs when it comes to like talking to girls, because like when you go out there and actually talk to someone who you perceive to be a bitch, they're actually very friendly. Like you might not get a date, but but at least you're challenging what your interpretation of that person is, and you're challenging yourself at the same time.
Yeah, and I think we have to go into things. We have to go into things thinking that nothing is unattainable. You know what I mean? I think, when you put in roadblocks, you're setting yourself up for failures, right? You're what you're saying is your value is not good enough when you do things like that. So I like what you said there, man. You just can never believe that anything or anyone is unattainable.
Right, exactly. And I even though like I'm aware of that, I still get into situations where I do kind of that pops up, but then it's again having that awareness because I've been used to thinking, I didn't, like I said, I've been thinking a certain way for 35 years of my life. I'm 40
Really?
right now,
Really?
believe it or not.
Yeah.
So, this is so like, I've had all, my successes, but it's like the whole growth mindset. It's a challenge because like I said, you're pushing forward, but then you're going back, but it's just having that awareness to keep yourself on track again. And I think someone who really wants to, kind of have a change in perspective of their mindset and grow, and be more confident. I think it's constant. It's a never-ending thing. You never just get to one point where you say, "Yeah, I'm confident." You can continue. There's always room for more growth and evolution, and I mean, there's always some pushback where that's gonna. I think where life kind of tests you when it comes to that. But you just got to be able to have the strength to like pull through and everything, and just say, hey, you made it happen before, you're going to make it happen again.
That's why I think being alone for a man at times, I mean, is a benefit. I mean, you gotta get in your thoughts. You gotta work on you. You gotta, make yourself happy. I think you're the only one who can make yourself happy. And if you're not doing that, then you're gonna do what? You're gonna rely on someone else to make you happy. And that's what the problem is. And that's why we have men that want women so bad because they rely on them to make them happy.
Yeah, because it's instead of like relying on themselves, like I think, and that's, I mean, another thing I can, if I can add to that is, I think that's why you mentioned being alone. Yeah, that's a good thing to have and work on yourself. And you want to kind of work. You want to have a few other things. I have a few videos where I tell guys you like. You also want to have a few other things that that you're developing on in your life that you can be proud of rather than just have like success with women, because like I realize it's like a roller coaster. Sometimes it's full of ups and downs. You're gonna have a period where you're going on dates, like we're gonna be meeting a lot of girls. You're gonna have a period where that's not working,
Yeah.
and you got to have something that like that you're constantly working on outside of that, so to help you deal with
Goals.
that frustration. Yeah.
Goals. Hobbies, goals. I always tell men you got to have a daily goal, you got to have a weekly goal, you got to have a monthly goal, you got to have 6 month goal, and you got to have a year goal, right? You got to have those, and those are continuous, right? Because they always do what? They keep you going forward. So when you're not going forward, and you stay stagnant, then you live in your mind. And living in your mind is very dangerous, because when you live in your mind, then a lot of negativity can creep in there. And it
Hmm.
can and it can make you complacent in life. It can derail you from what your purpose may be. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. Well, yeah, and that's why like that's important to kind of have an awareness of the thoughts that you're having about yourself and the world around you. Yeah, because that can make you stagnant and be lazy and not want to do anything. And
Hmm.
and I realized that was like a big challenge for me. And because I realized if I thought about if I get trapped in a negative mindset about something, I'll get like stagnant and not take action. But it's just you got to have that awareness to be like, well, hey, you can't, stop. You got to stop thinking like this. You're better. You're just being a lazy ass. Get up your butt and make shit happen again.
Being lazy is very toxic for a man.
Hmm.
Women can sense it, and then when you're lazy as a man, you just can't do what you've on earth to do. You can't do any of those things. Then you become, dispendable. I mean, you become very dispendable to a lot of people. They don't want you in their life if you're lazy. People don't like lazy people.
Hmm.
So if you're lazy, it becomes a problem.
Right. And I'd say when you're a hard worker, it's okay to take a break every once in a while, though, because you
Hmm.
got to find
Yeah,
time to
of course.
recharge because you can
You
burn
see,
out.
I know you don't see it here, but I got the PlayStation behind me, man. I play games every now and then.
Oh,
I get
okay.
on, I work out. I work on my house. I build things. I'm a builder. I like to get some wood
Oh,
and
nice.
just make something. You know what I mean? Like that's who I am. So, and I like to work on cars. I got old school.
Oh, really cool,
Yeah, yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah.
I never
So
had that skill set working on cars, unfortunately. But that's I always admire someone who can like build some stuff and make some custom additions or whatever it is. What do you do with the cars?
I just I put in the engine 72 Cutlass.
Uh huh.
So I'll put a big block in it, a 442. I mean, just I'm an engine guy. You know what I mean? My dad was an engine guy. Grandfather was an engine guy. I like doing it, man. It's peaceful. Just me and the machine, and
Mm-hmm.
I like to complete something. You know what I mean? I sanded it down. I primered it. Stripped the insides out. I like doing it all, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
That's
It's a
cool.
hobby of mine.
Mm-hmm. No, it sounds like you can take you out of your element and help you relax and everything. So I can
Mhm.
definitely that's cool. Yeah, I have. I'm an Xbox guy, by the way. I used to be a PlayStation.
Oh, it's too bad. What got me off Xbox, man? I'm gonna keep it real, man. What got me off Xbox is when I went through like 3 Xboxes and they had the red ring of death. I don't know if you know which ones those are.
Oh, okay. No, I
Oh my!
haven't had
It
that
was like
yet.
the white standing white ones, and they used to be before. It's probably 2 Xboxes ago. And
Hmm.
I remember just red rings of death. Every time I'll turn it on and just power it, a red ring, it's just be gone. I never wanted it. So I never had no problem with PlayStation. So
Oh,
I was
okay.
like, forget that, man. I'm gonna go to PS. You know what I mean? And I had the 3, I had the 4, and now I got the 5. Man, it's And then I like to live in the world, man. I race on there. You know, I like cars, so I race on there.
Oh, nice.
Gran Turismo, you know, stuff like that, man. I got a hobby of doing things, man.
Right, that's awesome. No, I used to be a PlayStation guy, but most of my friends back home and back in Michigan who I play, we do the Call of Duty and we do Battlefield. And they're all on Xbox, so I had to switch over to Xbox just so I can hang out with them.
Man, Steve the Dean's on there heavy on the Xbox, man. He's on there heavy.
But you know, I was really pissed off because I upgraded to the Xbox Series X because you needed it for the new Battlefield game that came out, but it ended up being like a flop and everything.
I heard about that. You know, I was really about to buy that for the 5, man, but everybody was saying how bad it was. The online play was horrible and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it was horrible. Like, so we have a platoon, and like, so we probably have like 13 people in our platoon, and like one of the problems was you could not. You can only have like 5 people in the group and in the from the platoon, so it was hard just getting into the same game. So they just kind of they went back to the Battlefield like 4, I think, which was the World War II one, and now they finally switched over to the Modern Warfare. I haven't had time to get on lately. They've been hounding me to get on, but like that's the one they're playing right now, just because it's kind of like they said they can do kind of like the same thing that they're doing with Battlefield.
Yeah, see, I love it, and that's what I'm saying, man. I think more men need to do things they love, man. I mean, you can't get. I grew up a video game guy, so you know I played the WWEs and all the stuff.
Oh yeah,
I don't even watch wrestling no more, but I love it. I buy that game when it come out every year, $120. I need the highest one. You know what I mean? I play it. I get on it whenever I do get on it. Hey, I want to be entertained. So you know what? It's like buying a concert ticket, man. I'm going to buy it.
That's right.
I'm going to buy
it. I use that to kind of get out of my element too. But yeah, like that's what we're saying. Like, yeah, so as a guy, just do stuff that you love doing. I mean, that's going to help you be confident. Like video games can be one of them. Figure out what your passions are. Figure out what it is that makes you happy, and go out there and fucking make it happen, and not just like put all your effort into like. Don't look to women as like your source of happiness, because I think there's a lot of guys out there who, do that, and when they do that, you put the women on the pedestal, and plus you're seeking that validation from her, and that's going to turn her off. And I realized. Honestly, when women I've met, they know I got a lot going on, and they really love that about me, And so there you go. That's proof in itself. And I don't need to like call them all the time or text them all the time. And like I said, I will make time for the ones who I feel have the a proper connection with.
That's dope, man. Like I always tell people, man, the way to live your life is the way you want to live your life, man.
Exactly.
The only way you can. That's why I always try to tell people, man, live your best life the way you want to live it. We only got one of these, man.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Well, hey, we're almost going about the end of the show here, but I want you just to kind of sum up everything and then let people know where they can find you. And that'd be, again, thank you for coming on tonight.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate you, man.
Much appreciated.
So I'm Mr. 1950. That's what they call me, man. I'm Mr. 1950. I'm the last traditional man on the planet. I am a guy who promotes traditional lifestyle, traditional marriage. I also promote, having fun in life,
rock on,
enjoying yourself, being who you are authentically. Swag. I like telling men swag is within, man. You don't have to appear to be like anybody else, man. Just be the best you, and that's where the swag is, man. If you're not who you're supposed to be, then you're going to fall. You know what I mean? You're going to suffer. So the best thing for you to do in life is to make sure that you live your life to the fullest. I got a book coming out.
Nice.
Yeah, I got a book coming out sometime mid-year. I'm gonna try to get it before the summer. Before the winter. Before the winter, September, October, somewhere around there. When I get that, then you're gonna see a whole different me, because I'm on the book go crazy right now. I'm just in the final editing part. You know what I mean? So,
Rock on. Well, when that comes up, I'd like to have you come on the show and we can talk about your book and
most
everything. That'd be
definitely,
awesome.
man. Most definitely, man.
Awesome.
Break it
Looking
down. I
forward to it.
appreciate that.
Yeah, man. No, I
Most
really
definitely.
like I said, that what we had to talk about today, and like one of the reasons why I invited you on the show, and like the type of people I want on this channel. I just want it's all about like guys trying to figure out who they are and
Mhm.
mindset and set rules and standards for themselves so they can develop themselves the best person they are, rather than blame society and blame women for all their problems. Because like a lot of that stuff where they blame other people and blame society, that just stagnates your growth and everything. And it's always good to have people who preach that on these platforms, because there's a lot of people on the YouTube platforms who preach a bunch of garbage and everything, where I think if guys came across that would hinder their growth and their mindset, and they wouldn't get anywhere because they just blame women rather than looking at within themselves.
Perfectly put. Well
Well,
put.
rock on, buddy. Well, hey, thanks for coming on, and be sure to guys who are catching the replay, check out Mr. 1950's channel, and then also give the video a thumbs up, and share with your friends if you like it. And yeah, we'll probably come on and do a show for
Most
you guys
definitely.
sometime soon.
Appreciate it.
You're very welcome.